Episode 58, Winning at Work with Marc Roth. He's the principal and co-founder of A La Mode. A La Mode is 100% nut-free, egg-free, and sesame-free ice cream. And it is delicious. After I had this episode with him, he said, Tony, let me send you a care package. He sent this beautiful box. The packaging is incredible. Really, really eye-catching. A lot of clever things that they're doing there. I hope you guys check this brand out. Marc's story is very, very much Americana. Great idea, grows organically, gets help and influence from one of the niche areas that they really were serving. It took off, went viral, got a great mentor, and that mentor has been on this podcast. You go back and listen to his episode once you hear who he is. Marc's going to share with us how they researched, the kind of reconnaissance they did to determine the location for their flagship store. They took a big gamble. You've got to take a gamble when you're an entrepreneur, but you need to listen to what the one that they took was. They decided to really drill into a niche that's really, really big in the food market. Okay, that's ice cream. And a big trend is food transparency. And that is really, really needed when you're dealing with parents and families that deal with allergies. They have to know where everything is coming from, and they've done a great job with that. He's discovered really how to pick your distribution partner. So if you're a new brand and you're trying to uncover really how should you go about doing this, Marc lays out a great strategy to do that. And I think you'll pick up on this theme. You've got to stay consistent. You've got to be loyal to your customer, to your brand. You cannot break that trust. And this theme has come up a lot about aligning your passion and work. Marc does the same thing. He's got a unique twist on it. He's got great advice for employers as well. I hope you listen to this because there's a big labor shortage out there, and the ideas he has, I think, can absolutely help you. Guys, if you're enjoying this episode, share them, make a comment either on iTunes or on LinkedIn, and share it because I'm not a professional podcaster. This is not my day job. Marc, he's not a professional podcaster. This is not his day job. Marc wanted to share his story and his advice to everyone. So when you listen to this, take it and share it, push it out in your network so everyone can hear Marc's message, learn more about this brand. And truly, if there are people out there that are struggling with allergies, this really is a brand that they can get behind and connect and become, a brand evangelist for, and you can start enjoying ice cream. This episode is sponsored by Join Us Search Group. Join Us Search Group is a national executive search firm focused on hiring sales, marketing, operations, and innovations professionals. If you need anyone in that space, contact Join Us Search Group. Okay, guys, stay tuned. This is a great episode. I think you're going to enjoy Marc, the humble beginnings, the organic growth, and they are starting to steamroll now. Enjoy. Marc, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Tony. I appreciate it.
I have to say, we love your ice cream, and it was really fascinating to see that there's this whole line of products that are out there that are being designed for people with food allergies. Now, I don't have any food allergies, so I typically, don't look for those kind of products. But interestingly, you guys saw a need and you met a need, and this thing has just totally taken off. And I wanted to ask you or congratulate you for signing that big deal that I just saw that came out with Nathan's Famous. Tell us about that.
No, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been amazing. Working with James and working with the crew over at Nathan's has been an incredible experience. Having James Walker as a mentor has been absolutely amazing. And he's been able to sort of guide and steer me into things that are not in my wheelhouse or that I'm starting to learn. So being able to have the ability to use him as a soundboard and have him have the patience and be able to sit there and guide has been priceless as far as having the ability to work with him. Started out, both of us, James and I both share the same legal team. and our legal guidance, had recommended us just connect. He thought that the two of us sort of had the same visions, the same ideas, and thought we'd just get along great. So started speaking with James. James had started working with me on helping, as far as someone who has been in the industry for so long, helping and advising as I started launching our franchise program. And we really hit it off very well. And he's been an absolutely amazing asset to us. And we just started talking. And as we continue to talk and discuss both of our wheelhouses and all of the different similarities we had as far as our backgrounds with the restaurant industry, it just sort of started to make sense. And then he had the opportunity to come to the factory, try the ice cream, and he was discussing all the amazing things that he's doing over at Nathan's as far as with the brand and adding additional items and growing the brand, which it's absolutely incredible what these guys are doing. So it sort of made sense that bringing out a product not only that was safe but also a quality product made in New York sort of went with the same messages as Nathan's was trying to put out, and it was a great fit. It was just a perfect fit for two great brands. So we're really excited. We're really excited to start that launch with them.
And you're going to be in the milkshakes, correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, so we're offering them the shake mix for their milkshake program, and we are starting that shortly in the next week or so.
I keep banging the drum that they've got to get down here to Atlanta. They're in the airport, but that's just that's 45 minutes away from me. So
right.
I keep pushing James. I say, look, come on, just do a ghost kitchen. You're already open at 150. Right. Open another one up here in Alpharetta.
I don't doubt the route. At the rate that James is going, that there should be one in your area shortly, I'm sure.
Well, I just think it's an amazing success story that. Obviously, based there in New York, and given the technology and the way that brands can expand and build out from, what would normally be just a local phenomena, which you have done a great job locally, but boom, now it goes nationally. And that's why I wanted to talk to you as the CEO, co-founder, partner of A La Mode. Let's talk about how can you build and market a food brand? I mean, how does someone even go about doing that? There's so many great ideas. There are cooks out there working in their kitchens. Help people figure out what are the steps they should be taking.
So, thank you for saying that. We really, so my wife and I partnered up together. My background was the restaurants, as I mentioned earlier. Her background is the kids clothing industry. She has a showroom in downtown LA. She's been a rep out on the West Coast since before I even met her. And after we went ahead and decided to move on from the restaurant industry, had a family, and wanted to spend some time with our family, my wife had this idea about opening up this ice cream shop. And one of the things that she was adamant about or wanted to make sure was that there was something available for everybody. We also have a nephew who has a severe nut allergy. So we do take that very seriously and we take it to heart. So when we opened up the shop, we did it as a no-brainer, but we didn't do it intentionally with knowing that there wasn't anything else out there. So we opened up the shop, and about a month after us opening, she handled everything from the front of the house with the clothing, the design. I mean, it's really her vision, an idea of how the place would look. And I took care of the food and beverage side of it with the I learned how to make ice cream and learned that back of the house side of it. And we sort of merged our two talents, put them together, and we had the ability to open up this shop. About a month into us opening, a father with a child with a nut allergy took a picture of our sign, and it went viral. And that's when we found out, and it turns out that we were the only nut-free ice cream shop in the country. So again, it wasn't intentional. We didn't open this shop. What we wanted to open was something in our neighborhood. It was very close to where we live. We saw this space. It was a cute little space that sat there empty and dormant for 5+ years. Wondered why. We started doing our research, standing on the corner for hours at a time and just counting the strollers and counting all the different, the families that started moving into the neighborhood.
Literally ground level, reconnaissance.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've been living in that neighborhood for 25 years. And in the last 10 years is when we started to see, or when we noticed that there were a lot more children and families moving to the neighborhood. Before that, people would ask me who my grandparents were, and it was a completely different environment and demographic. So we thought that it would be a good fit, not only for the convenience side of it, the space. It was a beautiful space, the layout of it, and it all started to fall into place. So when we opened up the shop and found out that we were the only nut-free ice cream shop out there, we really just started to get bombarded with, in a good way, from emails and phone calls about how I've never had ice cream before. My child has never had ice cream. My child has never been able to experience going into an ice cream shop safely or going at all because they didn't want to take any of those risks. So it sort of organically, started to grow. And I can't stress enough that if it weren't for the allergy community, we wouldn't be where we are today. The support from that allergy community, the tight-knit community, is absolutely amazing. And each day it just blows us away how close they are and what they do for each other and what they do to try to continue to help get the education out there and get the awareness out there to everybody. So that's sort of how we got that start. And from there, it just started to take on a mind of its own. And that's where we started to figure out and discuss which routes do we want to go. Do we want to continue to open up more of these shops, or do we want to go the other route, which was, if we did want to continue to open up these shops, how do we actually be able to do so if there are no other manufacturing facilities out there that are nut free to provide us that product? So our only option was to be able to do it ourselves and to open it up ourselves. So we went ahead and opened up a factory in the Bronx, about 15, 20 minutes away from the store. Built it from the ground up. We had to start from scratch. It was a little bit of an expensive endeavor, but of course, it was necessary for us to feel comfortable knowing that every piece of equipment had zero chance of cross-contamination, has never been used before, and it gave us the comfort knowing that we were starting the right way. And from the moment that we opened up our ice cream shop and the factory, we just never introduced nuts, eggs, or sesame into our facilities. And that's basically what gives us that comfort of knowing that there's no chance of that cross-contamination.
It sounds like your first principle, your first idea there is, pick a niche and kind of learn, dominate that niche. And you were niching down. Maybe you didn't realize just how big of a niche it was, but clearly that is the idea around building a brand is, you kind of have to have your niche. You kind of have to know that the spot you're going to fit in. So from there, what's the next step? So you've got a hit. Okay. So now you go to manufacturing. So how do you begin to market and brand and push this thing out and start growing? What's the next step?
So a lot of that, again, was organic. It was natural. We started getting a lot of people who were outside of this, the New York or the tri-state area, inquiring and seeing, where could we get your product? How can we pick it up? We don't have access to get to New York. Do you sell in grocery stores? Do you sell in other areas that we can go get it? So we started reaching out to some of these retailers and said, we have this product. We're opening up this manufacturing facility. And would you be interested if we were to, present a product that could be safe for everyone? And surprisingly enough, before we even opened up the doors of the factory, we had a bunch of retailers, some big box and some others that were just open to giving us an opportunity and a chance. So we were very fortunate that a lot of those who we started our conversations initially with understood. They understood that there was a need for something like our product. The ice cream industry is an extremely competitive market. So it sort of gave us the opportunity to get into that market with something different, something that nobody else was doing, something that hasn't yet been done. And that sort of gave us the ability to get onto some of those shelves. And again, so organically it started to grow from there. From those retail stores and having the opportunity to get into those retail stores. And trust me, it wasn't anywhere as easy as it sounds as I'm explaining it to you. But as we started to get onto these shelves and we started to be able to expand our reach and give opportunities for people to have it closer and available to where they live, we also started looking into other outlets. We wanted to be able to do direct to door. So being able to have our product shipped directly to your house. So we started an e-com program, which has been doing phenomenal. And we also started working on food service. So we reached out and we partnered with Madison Square Garden, the Minnesota Vikings, and a couple of other food service outlets, arenas, and stadiums. That gave us the ability to have something for those out there, a safe product for those to enjoy. So again, it was just an organic. It's just one of those things where we started riding that wave, and just kept rolling with it.
Well, it does go to one of the marketing principles that, there needs to be a demand, and the demand was there. You tapped into the demand, and you may be riding that wave, but you didn't force it. I'm curious though, the food supply chain is very complicated for people a lot of people who listen to this podcast are in food and beverage, but it is a very complicated supply chain. So when you talk about going into grocery stores, are you selling into distributors who then place on the shelves, or are you direct to the retail?
We do both. We do have a large option of distributors that we work with, major distributors that give us that the ability to deliver and ship nationwide. And we also do direct deliveries as well. We do direct deliveries to the local tri-state area. So we try doing it from both ends. One of the reasons being that we want you to make sure, we can be as safe as possible. But once it's out of our doors, and into somebody else's hands, we wanted to feel comfortable knowing that it was going to get to the places that it needs to get to safely as well. So we really wanted to make sure that we partnered with the right people who would handle our product, understood the need and the need to be very careful when handling our product, making sure that it wasn't mixed with things that we wanted to stay away from and avoid. So there was a little bit of a learning curve. There was a little bit of, trial and error on both ends with our distributors. But yeah, we have both options of working with major distributors and also doing it.
Yeah, it sounds like you're just being very thoughtful and very purposeful. You're not just trying to slam the product out there. It sounds like your desire and your need to put this product out there is coming from a place of wanting to help people. No, but I mean, when you have a mission that goes beyond just a profit motive, right? You make the kind of decisions that you're making.
Right. Now, when Sandy and I opened up and we were running the store ourselves at the beginning, and we had a few of our employees from the restaurants that we had that came and joined us because we're very strong and very tight-knit with a lot of our employees, and we have been for many years. We take a lot of pride in that. And so we brought so Sandy and I were both working at the shop trying to get a feel and get an idea of it. Like I said, I can't dress myself. It's Sandy who came up with this mindset, the look, the aesthetic, and we really wanted to make sure that it hit all of the different things that she was looking for when it came to an experience when you walk in the door. So we were able to, behind the counter and having people that were coming into the store, experience directly ourselves this interaction with a lot of these allergy families. And the one thing that was consistent every single time was that what they wanted to do when they came in there was they wanted to make sure not only if it was safe for themselves or safe for their children. So they would ask questions 8, 9, 10 times, which we fully understood. And patience is very key with all of that, because you have to understand that they're saying this not to be a pain. They're not saying this to be difficult. They're saying this because they haven't had a chance to experience it before. So when you're giving somebody the opportunity to be able to come into a shop for the first time, you want to let them be as comfortable as possible. So what we try to do is we try to lay it out for them. So we have allergy books. We have everything that gives them ingredient decks. We provide them exactly every single source where we get it from, letters from each of our sources stating that there is absolutely no chance or zero nuts, eggs, and sesame in their facilities as well, which was a difficult hurdle to start with. But we really wanted to make sure that when somebody walked into that door, they felt comfortable, they felt safe. And, safe is the key word with all of it. So again, it was one of those things where after experiencing it, we just wanted to go ahead and basically teach our staff, let them know as well. And the first thing comes with education, giving them the experience as well and the knowledge that they need to be able to answer some questions for those who have these allergies, and roll from there and be able to let people know that when you do walk into our a la mode shop, our flagship shop, or if you do walk into any of our franchises that we're working on opening up, that you're going to get that same experience. It's not going to be, let me just check to see, or we'll use a different scoop. We have dedicated scoops for dedicated items, and everything is laid out on purpose and specifically so that they have that comfort and they can sort of breathe some fresh air, knowing that, okay, these guys really know, and they didn't just throw this thing together and say, yeah, no problem, it's nut free. We actually did the additional work. From
your experience, would you say someone who's trying to launch a brand, is it, I won't say easier, but trying to go direct and work through distributors and or get into retail versus partnering with like you did with James Walker and Nathan's Famous? Is there an easier or better, more profitable way to kind of launch, a like vertical path to pick?
I think the most important thing is making sure that the message and the goals and the message are all aligned, and that you both partnerships have that same message, and both partnerships have that same end result. They want that same end result. So that's the most important thing. And if you do find somebody that has that same mentality and is willing to go above and beyond to make sure that you don't cut corners and that you have that direct message, then it makes it a lot easier to work with some of these clients, companies, or partnerships. One of the difficulties with it is that it is extremely difficult to find other manufacturers that are affordable, but also that would be able to handle volume, but also hit every one of these allergy-free items that we're trying to, or all of these items that we're trying to avoid. So that's one of the first things that is a hurdle. We've had many opportunities to collaborate with a lot of other big brands, which would give us great opportunity to grow and get exposure and be profitable. But that's not what we want to do, because what it's doing is it's going completely against what we're all about. So, we do look more towards offering and having something available for everybody, a little bit more importantly than we're looking at the bottom line. Although, of course, when building a business and building a brand, you want to be successful, and that's our goal, and that's what we want to continue to do. But to get there, the first thing you need to do is gain trust. You need to be able to map out the right way, the best ways of doing it that are sort of cookie cutter, so that people can follow that, and it's easy to mold and continue to grow with it, whether it's with a partnership or doing it on our own.
So what I heard there was, to grow successfully, you really have to identify partners that have your vision and share some of the values that you do, because you have to remain true to your brand. And if your brand is such that it requires all the other people in the value chain to be upholding that same standard, you can't deviate from that, because if you do, you lose trust. And that's what you're working so hard with every customer when they walk in. So I think that's exactly very valuable advice. Don't compromise on your values, and, maintain your brand integrity.
Yeah, I mean, and that's key. We started working with a retailer that, I won't mention any names, but we worked with this large retailer, and all of a sudden, we were fortunate enough to be able to work with them. They put us onto our the product into their freezer case. And of course, right in front of that freezer case was a big barrel of nuts. Now, was that the best product placement? Probably not. But what it showed us was that they weren't really thinking about our product from an allergy standpoint. They were thinking about it as just another item that was on that shelf. And we knew from the minute that we saw where they were placing us, we knew that they just simply didn't understand. And we felt that it just wasn't going to be the right fit for us. Because if they're going to make an extreme decision to do something to that, to make a decision to do it to that extreme, we feel like, it's going to be a hurdle moving forward. So we decided to say, we appreciate the opportunity, but I think it might be best that we try something else or go a different route. Instead of us saying to them, move our product to another area, we didn't trust the fact that it would stay in that other area. So we decided, instead of going for the money or going for the profit or going for that additional exposure, we would prefer to be safe and just align ourselves with those that have that same mindset.
I will say, people in business, it's not businesses, it's people. People that live by a principle and they don't bend on that, it might take them longer to be successful, but in the end, I have seen some great success stories. And whether or not you want to agree or disagree with the example I'm going to bring up, but for example, Chick-fil-A will not open on Sunday. Now, that's a principle. And they get a lot of pressure to open up on Sundays. People have always said, well, why not? That's a day when everyone is out and running around. And yet it's a very, very successful brand, right? But they stayed true to their brand. And I
respect that 100%.
Yeah.
100%. You stick to exactly what your message is, and you don't veer off. And if you do that, that's where you gain that trust. And you might upset some of those, and those that wanted to go there on a Sunday, they'll be back Monday. They will be back on Monday, or they'll be back Tuesday. They'll huff and puff about that they aren't, they don't have that day that they decided to close, but they'll stay true as long as you stick to your guns. So I do think that it's extremely important that you don't, because you're never going to please everyone. Especially coming from the restaurant industry and the restaurant business.
You know that, unfortunately, firsthand.
100%. You are never going to please everyone. All you can do is try to do the best you can to be as consistent as possible and offer the same experience to everybody when they walk in the door, whether it's at 9 a.m. or at 11 p.m.
As we kind of transition out of this, how to build and market a food brand and get back, I want to switch over to some of your superpowers, some of the things that you do really well. Can you tell me, this is kind of an off-the-cuff question, some of the best advice that you've ever been given in business? Do you have something that comes to mind?
Yeah, I mean, for me, one of the things that I was extremely fortunate about when I was younger is that I had a support group with my family where they saw where I thrived. They saw what I enjoyed at a young age. So although school wasn't really for me, I had more difficulties sitting at a desk and being taught by a teacher. Now, again, to each his own, and I'm not knocking anything about education and the school system. One of the things that I was fortunate enough to have was a support group with my parents where they knew and they understood that it wasn't that I was being lazy. It wasn't that it was, I just didn't want to do it. It was more that it was just a little bit more challenging for me. But what they did notice is that when I was outside of school, all I wanted to do was work. All I wanted to do was be around, going out there and doing things. And they saw at a young age. So they gave me the opportunity, and they had me starting to work at a very young age. And by 13, 14 years old, I was flipping burgers at a local tennis club. And it gave me that work ethic at a very, very young age. So one of the things that's been instilled in me is something that my father and my mother, both of them, have taught not only myself, but to both my brother and my sister, is that, just do what you love to do. Do something that you're passionate about. It might not make you the most money. It might be the hard route that you decide to go. But if you love it, you'll be successful. And that's the key thing that I've always been, that I've always instilled. And I want to bring that to my daughters as well. I want them to do what they feel, makes them comfortable, happy, and something that they feel like when they're waking up in the morning, going to work, that it's not that they're going to work, that they're going to do what they love to do.
I appreciate you saying that. I really do, because that theme comes up over and over, that your work and your life and your passion, they all need to converge. You can't separate them. And people who are stuck in jobs that they don't like, great advice to them is you need to find something that you really are passionate about and make it a small side project and put your energy into that and nurture it and grow it. It might turn into something for you. You can't ignore it. You've got to push your energy and your thinking into your passion. And you guys are living, walking, breathing examples of that. And I just appreciate you bringing it, to the surface again for everybody to hear.
And one of the other things that I would say is that it doesn't always come right away. It's something where when I was a kid, everybody else wanted to be astronauts, policemen, and firemen. And I wanted to open up my own restaurant. I always wanted to. One of the things as I was, since I was young, I knew what I wanted to do. I loved being with people. I was a people person. I liked seeing smiles on people's faces. So I was very fortunate at an early age to sort of know what route I wanted to go. But what I also noticed is that there are those jobs and there's those places that are sort of those startup jobs or ways of being able to generate and make money while you're still reaching and trying to go for what you're trying to do. And the most important thing is that if you do decide and you commit to a job, that you make sure that you're happy at that job, even though that might not be what you want to do. If you don't want to be a server for the rest of your life, you want to be an actor, at least when you're in that store or in that restaurant, that you give it as much 100%, that you give it your all when you are working in whatever job that you're working in, because it will come to you. You never know when it's going to come to you, and you never know that person that you're serving might be the person that really liked your attitude or liked how you approached them or liked the way that you did things because you were yourself. And that gave you that boost that you needed to go into the field that you want to look into doing later, whether it's through acting or through law or through, medicine, whatever the case may be.
Ice cream.
Regardless, ice cream as well. Exactly. But the truth, the ultimate thing, and that's what I try to instill in all of our staff. And one of the things we've been fortunate enough to have is a tight knit group that have been with us for a very long time, because they feel the ownership. They feel like when they walk in the door, they don't know that they want to work in ice cream the rest of their lives. They might want to do other things. And this might be just one of those, jump starter jobs that they're just starting to, they just need a job, had the great hours. But what they notice is that when they're walking in every single day, they're walking in with the same mindset as everybody else, which is, what are we going to do as a group and as a team to help grow this business together? And ownership is key. If everybody feels like they have some piece of ownership and they have a piece of the project, then they're going to give, and it's going to come naturally to them too, that they're just going to give their best because they just want what's best for the environment and for the business.
Well, Marc, I think our next two topics really come together because we talked a little bit beforehand about what some of your superpowers are, but as I'm listening to you, the third topic was going to be talent discussion, how to create a culture of low turnover. It sounds like your superpowers and how you're creating this culture, they've all kind of come together to create a culture of low turnover. And that in and of itself is kind of been your superpower. So why don't you just tell us a little bit about the combination of those superpowers and creating that culture that you've just so eloquently described?
Yeah. So when I was starting out, I went through multiple jobs. I went through, different outlets. I went from the small independent restaurants to the corporate hotels to more of the restaurant chain type of fields. And it wasn't that I was just jumping from job to job to job. What I was trying to do is I was trying to experience each of those so that I can try to conform and figure out what I wanted to do as I continue to grow in this industry, in the food and beverage industry or the hospitality industry. And one of the things that I noticed is that in each of these jobs, I had managers, I had bosses that obviously some were absolutely incredible that I still keep in touch with. And there are some that really helped me make the decisions and the proper decisions by learning from them what not to do. And that really helped me at an early age say, okay, I'm looking around at all these other employees and I see that there is not one thing, it's just going in one ear and out the other. It's just because of approach and how they were treated or how they were spoken to. And it showed me that it's just as simple as just your approach and how you speak to your staff or your peers if you're working with others in the same level, as far as if you're a server, if you're a busser. But it's all about how you work together and how you just being respectful to each other, and it goes a long way. So I've used the example of one of my old managers who the only three words he would use is boom boom zag zag tag tag. That was the only thing that he would say. He would sit in his office, not leave the office, and he would just expect you to know what that meant and go out and do it. And of course, half the time you wouldn't do it properly.
How bizarre! Say that again.
And you just get berated. Boom, boom, zag, zag, tack, tack. And it's something that's been instilled in me ever since that, I've been 16 years old. I was 16 when I had this manager who was teaching me this and, or telling me this. And it just stuck with me. So what I tried to do ever since that experience working with that company was I knew what not to do or how not to make things work, because I saw that it wasn't working. Not only was it not working for me, I continued to work hard. It's part of me is that even if I don't agree with it, it is part of my job responsibility and I'll continue to do it. But I noticed around me that there were people that were working there for 20 plus years and they just had zero respect for the guy. And it actually went into the experience for the guest, and the guests were sitting there and they're being served by somebody who was miserable, or they're being served by somebody who just got berated in the back of the house by this guy screaming boom, boom, zag, tag, tag, tag. So if you find ways of being able to say, even though you might not want to do it, it is it's the best interest for all of us to do it. I have no problem doing it as well. Then please, just finding ways of being able to speak and to train and to interact with them and let them know that they're one of many and they're a part of the team and not just somebody that's punching in and punching out every day. And if you can get people into that mindset that when you're walking in the door, give them the environment. One of the key things for us as well is there's music. You will always, in any place that we have, any establishments that we own or that we've been a part of, right when you walk in the door, you're hearing music. And that's because we want them to feel comfort. We want them to feel at home when they're there working. Of course, we expect them to work as hard as possible and do the right thing and focus. It's not that we're having dance parties all day, but we want them to be in an environment where they feel comfortable, that they know that when they're walking in the door, their focus is on how do we continue to improve and get to the next level with our company, not Mark and Sandy's company, not Alamo, our company, and then being, part of it, having that ownership and being a part of it. So I think that that's really helped us.
I think it has helped you. I would love to see what music would do to a corporate environment. Can you imagine? I mean, corporate,
yeah.
I'm being a little tongue in cheek, but I can't tell you, I have walked into hundreds of businesses, corporate, the back office. There's no music. Can you imagine if you walked into a corporate environment and you heard music? I mean, actually something decent. I mean, that could boost morale maybe. Of course, everyone has different taste, of course, but.
Well, and that's the thing is that you want to find a fine line where it's not something that's overboard. You're not walking into a nightclub, but it's something where you're walking into an area where you're listening to something behind you, whether it's music, whether it's rain, whether it's the white noise, if that's what you're used to from trying to put your kids to bed. You just have to have something in there that people feel that you're not just stuck in a box and just doing something like the time to make the donuts every day. You want to get them out of that mental mindset. And if you're able to do that, it goes a long way. Them walking in and feeling like, that they're not stuck or locked is extremely key and important. And so when you mentioned corporate, what I used to do with one of the corporate hotels I used to work with, I used to work the night shift, the graveyard shift. And you got these guys that were working from 10 o'clock at night till 10 o'clock in the morning, doing the same thing every single day. It's just nonstop every single day. And what you start to notice is that obviously they are not going to be as passionate about it because they feel like, all right, all I'm doing is pushing garbage down a street, down the aisle, or I'm just cleaning thousands of pieces of silverware, and it feels like it's just nonstop over and over again. So what we decided to do is break it up, and we would go into the ballroom, we blast the music, and we let these guys just go crazy for a little bit. 5-10 minutes. Let's just get out of that mode of just work. Get your minds into another place. Go do something. Go, play a game. Do something to let them know that there's something more than just polishing silverware or taking the garbage out or redoing, or resetting up for another event that's going on the next day. And what I noticed by doing just those small little things for 10 to 15 minutes, it made them, number one, look forward to something. They knew that there was something coming up later on in the middle of that shift that they can go and have a good time doing for a few minutes. And it sort of gets them out of that mental mindset of time to make the donuts. So I feel like that goes a long way as well. So even if in a corporate environment, you can't have the music blasting around you at all times, find ways, even if you're in a corporate environment, to let them feel that there's more than just being at a computer, or there's more than just being at that one physical thing. And you mean a lot more than just being just a body there at a desk type of thing. Mentality.
I love that. I mean, sounds like not only is one of your superpowers, obviously, you're passionate, you work hard, but you seem to have kind of tapped into understanding the mental side of work and attitudes and, all those things kind of combine to create a mental atmosphere of not drudgery.
Right. And all through experience. And my wife is the same way. And her mentality is the same exact way. And that's why we work really well together, is that she has that same exact mentality. So it's not that you're getting one route or one way of approaching things from me and one way of approaching things from her. I mean, we're like two peas in a pod when it comes to that. That way we are completely on the same level when it comes to it, where, there's never not a smile on my wife's face. She always wants to do whatever possible to make sure that not only are our guests content and have the best experience possible, but also any of our staff as well.
No, I can imagine the people that are in corporate that are listening to this right now, some corporate manager or VP sales, and, obviously they can't turn the music on, but they probably are brainstorming ideas right now. What can I do to break up the monotony when the whole sales team has to come in and they're having to bang out reports? Or I'm even thinking about my team. I've got a team of recruiters. Maybe there's some different things that I can do during the middle of the day to, just pull everyone away and let's go just take a mental refresher. Yeah.
And to even bring back and tie it back into the ice cream. We have a lot of these corporate companies who will reach out to us and say, listen, do you mind, would you send us over a case or 50 cups for my employees? We want to be able to have an ice cream day for them because of all the work that they're doing. I mean, people are definitely making efforts and trying to find ways of showing appreciation to their staff. They'll rent one of our ice cream trucks and say, do you mind putting an ice cream truck outside so that they can take that mental break, go out, enjoy some ice cream, and just, shut it off for a second before they get back to work.
Yeah, that's great. It's a very human side of work, right? I think that's what you do really well. I think that other one you definitely, other superpower that you display definitely is empathy. I think you do a great job of empathizing with your team, and having worked kind of alongside them. And that's one of those principles of servant leadership. When you come alongside people and you work with them, not direct them like this other boss with the, what did he?
The boom, boom, zag, zag.
That.
Yes.
I mean, that guy was not coming alongside you to work with you and help you. He was just, obviously a poor communicator. So, coming alongside people, being that servant leader, asking what can you do to help them, enable them to do better. I mean, all those things.
Not being afraid to be there right next to them to help them, not being afraid to get your hands dirty as well. Showing them by leadership, showing them that showing them by doing it yourself as well and saying, okay, this is the way we feel might work best, but also give us your feedback. You're the one that's going to be doing this all day. Is there a better solution? Because we're open to it. It's not that what Sandy and I say is etched in stone. It's just that this is what we advise, or this is what the route that we would like to go. And if you have a better solution, and that's again part of that ownership side of it, is that we want our staff to feel that they can come to us, they can communicate to us and say, listen, we feel that this might be a better way. And we'll approach it, we'll discuss it, we'll go through it. And most of the time they're right. And of course they're going to be right because they're the ones that are handling it on a day-to-day basis. So when they see that we're listening, when they see that we're open, our doors are always open. That's a huge policy for us. It's always an open door policy. Come in for anything that you need. And if you feel like there's something that you think can improve what we're doing, then by all means, it benefits everybody by doing that.
I feel like sometimes these conversations, people might say, hey, this is common sense, but common sense is not so common anymore. And it's important to emphasize the fundamentals of management and leadership. And it doesn't have to be rocket science. It sounds like a lot of good, common, fundamental, practices are being used. Look,
goes a long way.
I mean, it does. Look, there's a lot of, HR management consulting firms that come out there that try to create all these special programs. A lot of it is not needed. I mean, just common sense. And I think you guys have done a wonderful job with that, low turnover, high retention, good work environment. And let's face it, the food and beverage industry right now is struggling to hire. They're struggling with retention. I hope everyone can just listen to this. You know, these are very practical, honest steps that, you know, a restaurant can take, you know, just to make everyone
100%.
Yeah.
And finding ways of them wanting to get back to work to be a part of something because they are a part of something and not because they're going there just to collect a paycheck. And that's where they have this, that differentiation where a lot of this mentality is, oh, do I really have to go back and hear this guy yell at me all day? Why do I want to do that? Why do I want to go back into that type of environment anymore? But if you're in an environment that you enjoy being around and you actually enjoy going to, it makes that jump a lot easier and quicker, or a lot simpler.
Yeah. If you own a restaurant, you better have a general manager that has a heart. Because you're going to blow through people in a heartbeat.
Well, and that's the key. It goes from the top down. And it's really showing that leadership and examples all the way straight down. So, I mean, you brought up a perfect point, is that we can have that vision. My wife and I can have that vision. But if it's not passed down to others that are supervisors or managers or general managers, then you just lost the chain right there. The chain is broken right there. So you want to make sure that you have those who had that same vision with you, that's working with you, that have that same mentality of how to treat people and how to get the best results out of anybody.
Well, Marc, I know we could just talk, I think, forever about ice cream. And why don't, as we kind of wrap up, if people are listening to this and they're thinking, you know, this is a brand that they want to get behind. This is a company that they would like to learn more about. You mentioned franchising. Is that actually going to be happening? Is this an opportunity for people if they wanted to become a franchisee?
Yeah, so we actually rolled out a franchise program through COVID. We started getting a lot of demand, or a lot of people inquiring about opening up, especially now when there are those who either have decided to change careers or go their own route. And what we've noticed is that a lot of people who might not have even been in the food and beverage industry in the past, but want to try something different, or wanted that same thing that my wife wanted, was let's just open up an ice cream shop. I worked at one when I was a kid and I loved it. So we started getting a lot of demand for it. So we looked into it. We created, a franchise program, and we have it on different levels so that we make it as easy as possible for someone who is interested in joining our team and joining the growth of our business and providing a safe product for all to enjoy. So we built out these platforms where it's a scoop shop. So it's basically, just the scoop, not the clothing and everything else like in our flagship store. So that's one of the opportunities for a franchise. And then we also have the franchise opportunity as as the whole gamut with the boutique, the parties, events, so on and so forth. And then we also have a franchise opportunity with food trucks as well. So we opened up those gates. We started to see we have about 30 plus FDDs out as far as opportunities out there, people who are interested. And we just rolled out this program. If anybody is interested, please reach out. We would love to discuss and show in more detail. And one of the things that we're clear about, what we want to do is make sure that Sandy and I are hands on with all of this. And what we would like to do is have them come to our store, experience how we run our store, and then also help with the process, especially for those who have never been in the business before. We tried to make it as easy as possible to literally come in without even having that experience in the food and beverage world or in the hospitality world, and feel comfortable knowing that all the tools are there and provided to you. So it's sort of like a central purchasing. So everything is run through our program. Everything is run through our factory and our warehouse. So anything that you're purchasing, you can feel comfortable knowing is coming directly out of our warehouse, so you don't have to worry about any of that cross-contamination. And then the other key thing is the training of it, that Sandy and I go out, we'll train and show people not only from the scooping, but the education as well. It defeats the purpose if somebody comes into your store and you don't know the answers to the questions that they have. So we have handbooks, we have bullet points and cheat sheets and clip notes and all these different things to be able to help with being able to open up something, whether you have been in the hospitality industry or not.
So grateful that you could spend some time with us and come out of your busy corporate and scoop shop life to talk to us here on the podcast today.
Well, thank you, Tony. I really appreciate your time. It's been amazing speaking with you, and I look forward to future conversations with you. And also, again, my hats off to you as well, Tony. You're doing absolutely amazing. You got me hooked on your podcasts, and I've been listening to these podcasts that you've been doing, and it's been absolutely amazing. And
well, thank you for the shout out. Appreciate that very much.
Of course. No, of course. Well, yeah, please, again, I appreciate everything, and I look forward to continuing our conversations.
Yeah, we'll do a follow-up and see how this franchise program is going. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. All right, take care now, buddy.